And welcome into another episode of Tiger Territory, part of the Foul Territory Network. This show is brought to you by Fox One. Fox One is now live stream all your Fox favorites together in one place, including all AL playoff games and the World Series. I am Kieran Steckley. With me, as always, the man whose name is always spelled correctly on his Starbucks. He is Cody Stavenhagen. How you doing?
They spell it correctly as long as they hear me right. And just keep it at first name, then we do okay. Now, Kieran, a genius who just calls himself Mike at restaurants.
Yep. That's I learned the hard way on that too many times. It's just a lot simpler. Mike or Mike S is my alias at restaurants. So, all right, we are back here. We're recording this Thursday, a little bit before 6 Eastern time. So we got playoff baseball that's happening now, and will happen a little bit later in the CSs, obviously. But let's get to the more local news here, Cody, and that is Dingler has been nominated for a Golden Glove, and kind of funny. I'm going to start off with a hot take on this. Is Dillon Dingler a system catcher? Last year, Jake Rogers nominated for a Golden Glove as well. Jake Rogers also on the roster at present. Is Dingler a system catcher, or is he, quite frankly, really effing good? I ask you.
I don't think there's such thing as a system catcher. You're not running an offense. You have to be a good defender in order to be nominated for a Gold Glove. You have to have good defensive metrics. You have to block, frame, throw, field. He does all of those things very well, and he's always been held in pretty high regard in those areas. So don't think it's the system. I think he has turned out to be a pretty good draft pick and has lived up to a lot of his potential already, and he's still really young in his career.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, in some ways, like exceeded his potential, at least early on. I mean, I don't think anyone kind of foresaw this, defensive offensive output that he had this year. And again, it's worth, everybody knows this, but it's worth like saying out loud again. This is October 16th. We were talking about Dingler from this time last year all the way up until Seattle series. Like, I hope, there's some promise here. Hey, those extra base hits a little bit, athletically, like we were kind of like talking ourselves into him being like, okay. And he turned out to be pretty effing good. Like I said earlier. And, he was worth, everybody knows the metrics, percentiles or whatever. He was a 1.1 D WAR catcher last year, according to Baseball Reference. And if you look at, his fellow nominees, like I didn't necessarily think Jake Rogers was going to win it last year. I think Dingler has a really good shot here, Cody, to take home the hardware, which would be great. And also, I think it's a testament to also like the pitching staff and the coaching staff and everybody else that, again, back-to-back different catchers nominated for Gold Gloves. I do think, I was joking about the system thing, but I do think it is worth mentioning that that's pretty cool. Like, that's pretty cool. You got two guys with Gold Glove nominations occupying your position for years to come if you so choose to go that route.
Yeah, I think Alejandro Kirk is probably the favorite here. I'd give Dingler an outside shot at winning it, but Kirk leads all catchers in blocks above average, second among all MLB catchers in framing runs. I think his case is going to be just a little bit stronger, and that's not to knock Dingler at all, but I think Kirk is probably going to win it. Interested, do you think the Tigers had anyone snubbed here? I don't. Unfortunately, they metrically were not that great defensively. They weren't bad, but they weren't great. Other than, I haven't looked at the metrics for these utility guys. I was hoping to see a Javi Baez utility Gold Glove nomination. Mauricio Dubon is Ernie Clement is going to be better metrically. You know what? So is Dubon. 17 defensive runs, 14 defensive runs saved. Sneeman was +8. So I think they're going to be a little better than Javi overall, but I would like to see a Javi nomination.
Yeah, I mean, the Javi case is the classic Javi case where it's like, Gold Glove is literally flash, right? And he is a flashy defender, both infield, outfield as well. I mean, the metrics are going to point out his flaws that we all understand that what they are, but I mean, if there's a guy that was worth talking about as a potential snub, it's obviously him. I kept looking for areas. I was like, no, I don't. And then looking back, it's like I never thought they were as sound defensively as sort of like their reputation would have dictated. Fun fact, if everybody can kind of bear with me for a second. Al Kaline, I believe the year was 1963. Not a lot of people know this. He never got his Gold Glove that year. One of the years, he just never got the Gold Glove. Like they just didn't send it to him. And him being Mr. Kaline, he was like, "Well, all right, well, they didn't send me the Gold Glove," and he just moved on. Like it's
I
like
did not know that. Did they make the award? Do we know if it exists out there somewhere?
I mean, I'd have to look at other winners and see, like, but he just never got one. Again, it might not be 1963, but it was one of those years. And he just was like, okay. And then just moved on with his life because he's Al Kaline. That's who he is. So somewhat of a little bit of a transition here. Gold Glove potential next year. Alex Bregman. We have to do it. We have to do it. Alex Bregman has officially opted out of his 3-year deal.
Not officially. It's reported that he is going to.
Okay. You are correct. Thank you for correcting me on that. He is reportedly going to opt out of his what was a total 3-year deal, 2 years left on the deal with the Boston Red Sox. And we get to play this game all over again. So, Cody, the Tigers going to sign Alex Bregman. Everybody wants to know.
I've not at all got my bearings on what the Tigers are going to do or what I think they should do this winter. Bregman obviously still checks a lot of boxes. In a lot of ways, he is the guy they need. And he's going to be 32. He's a year older. Another year, he's on that aging curve, probably past the peak, beginning to start the downhill slide. One of those good years is already gone, and he was injured. So if you were hesitant about going 5 or 6 years last offseason, shouldn't you be even more hesitant about doing that this offseason? I feel like the level of risk you should be willing to take on should, in some ways, be linked to what you're going to do with Tarek Skubal. If you think you were going to trade Tarek Skubal, I don't know if it's worth it. If you think you're going to keep Tarek Skubal, even if it's just for 2026, maybe you're willing to take on some bad years at the end of that contract to put a winner around Skubal in 2026. I would feel a lot better about that decision. That's a long way of saying I don't really know. I think he checks a lot of boxes, makes a lot of sense, but I don't know that there should be a rush to give him a long-term deal because he's getting older, man, and he's developing a little bit of an injury history. I think the easy solution would have been to sign him last offseason, but you didn't do that, and now you're in the same spot, but it's a little more awkward this time around. And he wants a long-term deal. That's why he's opting out. I don't think he wants to take another Red Sox deal, which is kind of what I would want to give him.
We have, we have people just kind of throwing out random numbers. 175. It's a higher annual average than last year, because I think it was like 6,170 something was the report.
I actually don't even like that, though. One reason you were willing to do a 6-year deal, like you're paying for the good years with the acceptance. The last couple of years might not be so good. One of those good years is gone. So I don't know. Even like the 5-year deal, that's the same point in time you were willing to go to, but without that good first year, it makes me uncomfortable.
It is also worth noting that he was a 216, that's 216 hitter in September/October last season with a 640 OPS. So we talk about slumping. He slumped really hard at the end of the season. Obviously, the Red Sox still made the playoffs, but that's a real that would be a real thing and add to a level of concern. Like, is this maybe something that he's going to be from now on, where he kind of wears out as the season goes? Who knows? But those are factors. Now we have another sample size of that happening. So won't be the last time we talk about Mr. Bregman.
They need a veteran hitter. They need someone with his leadership and intangible skills. it's just unfortunate that you didn't get him last time around, and now you're in this position.
Very true. All right, we are going to go to our DraftKings segment where we will make a pick not related to the Tigers, but now it's time for our pick of the week presented by DraftKings. So we don't have to delay it much more, Cody, but download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use code FOUL, bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if the bet wins. Jorge Polanco added himself to the list of players who will be giving Tigers fans nightmares from years to come. He only hit 2 home runs in one game twice all season last year, and he did it a third time against Tarek Skubal in a game that the Tigers had an opportunity to, kind of put their foot down in a best of 5 series, and so the good vibes have continued for Mr. Polanco. I don't know if you guys are paying attention to how the CS has gone. And again, the game 4 is tonight, so we don't know exactly what will happen. But as of now, he is leading, Cody, ALCS MVP odds at plus 240. So I just wanted to bring this up as a way of saying, you just brought up the veteran hitter thing. That's what Seattle did with a young team a couple of years ago. It was Jorge Polanco. It was a 1-year deal. They brought him back on basically another 1-year deal. There's a little bit of, mutual option stuff or whatever after this season, but he might be a free agent. Maybe he can, I don't know. But Jorge Polanco is the odds-on favorite to win ALCS MVP. You can get that at plus 240 right now. Odds, of course, are subject to change. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code FOUL to bet $5, and if it wins, get $200 in bonus bets instantly.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday ticket/terms. Limited time offer.
All right, coming back here, Cody. What made me think of the Polanco thing was like his story and like how he got to Seattle and what he's kind of experiencing in Seattle and bringing them to previously unseen heights. And nobody put that kind of burden on Gleyber Torres, but like that was kind of the thinking, is that this is a veteran who can kind of bring this guy, also second baseman, also again bring this team, to the next level. And Gleyber, while he played well the majority of the year, technically didn't bring him to the next level because got to the exact same spot as previous season. But we all understood what Gleyber's value was. Gleyber's a free agent, so now it's got me thinking, who from this team that was relied on is going to be gone next year in 2026. And Gleyber Torres is at the top of the list. I got to say this. We didn't discuss this with the Scott Harris news conference earlier in the week, but the way that everybody talks about Gleyber, dude, Scott Harris, AJ Hinch, when he was like, I couldn't give him a day off. He'd be in my office right away, when he's dealing with the hernia situation. Scott Harris is like, we needed him. We needed his at bat. We needed, his approach and, veteran, blah, blah, blah. And then we know how guys like Javi feel about him. We know how the younger cats like took to him, throughout the season. Always a good at bat at the top of that order. Austin Jackson has talked about the value of a guy like that in your order. What if they just like really try to bring him back? And that's almost kind of like plan A-ish this offseason. Like what if that's kind of like a leading thing? They talk about it like they really like him and they really value him. I don't know. Polanco did a second 1-year deal-ish to Torres.
Galaxy brain moment here. Is it a good thing he had a hernia and had a very bad second half? His market's not going to be that great. He talked before this about wanting $100 million, and he is not going to get that. What is the most he gets? The qualifying offer is about $22 million. Be fascinated to see if the Tigers extend that to him. I think he's still going to want a multi-year deal, but is anyone even going to give him 360? I feel like that would kind of be like a max for Gleyber Torres. 345, is that in the realm? Could you get him on a 1 or 2 year deal with some options? I think it kind of makes sense for the Tigers. You heard Scott Harris spell out the concerns about contact, like quality of at bat. He's kind of the one. He was the best at those things on your team. He could bring you more of that veteran presence without the 5-6 year commitment it's going to take to get Alex Bregman. Now you still need more, I think, than just getting Gleyber Torres, but he still checks a lot of boxes, and you might be able to get him on a relatively short-term deal. It seemed like he liked Detroit a lot. I don't hate it. My initial thoughts is I don't hate it.
Well, like what it comes down to me, for me, Cody, is that you have contact and quality of at-bat concerns up and down this order. And if you lose the only one that you could rely on to, as you said, check those boxes, it's hard for me to envision a roadmap to get better at those things, right? Like they don't sign Gleyber Torres and they really struggle with contact and quality at bats next season. We're going to be talking about like, well, yeah, what'd you expect? Like you got rid of the one guy who was the one you could rely on to do that. and so like,
yeah,
because maybe you can find a middle. Maybe you can do sort of like the Torres level player version of the Alex Bregman Boston Red Sox contract where he gets an opt out and you just, we'll play play this game for 2027 and figure it out because, people have concerns about him defensively. I know some numbers don't favor him. I'm just telling you, I'm looking at his baseball reference page. His D-WAR is 0.0. Which I was shocked by.
I don't know. I'm going to have to look into how they calculate that because every metric he's negative, but not as bad as you'd think. -4 defensive runs saved. You can live with that. This is why it's so fascinating. You could argue the best case for the offense is to sign Bregman and to sign Gleyber Torres. You got 2 veteran hitters who can control at bats, who have some intangible skills. I don't know. Kevin McGonigal, maybe he plays a lot of short. Maybe him and Javi almost like platoon at short or something. And you can mix in McGonigal at some of those other positions. What would that mean for Colt Keith? I have no idea. Put him back at first. What would that mean for Spencer Torkelson? I have no idea. Where does Zach McKinstry fit in all this? That's why this is going to be a really interesting offseason for the Tigers because I think they have to get at least one of these guys, probably 2 of these type of guys, and that's going to require some sort of movement from someone else who is still a young player with some upside. I don't know what that looks like. It'd be easy to write Gleyber Torres off and just be like, all right, that spot's going to go to McGonigal, which is great, but that's a left-handed bat versus a right-handed bat. So you're going to be a little more unbalanced. And you're going to be trying to win a World Series and putting a lot of trust in a very young player who hasn't even played in AAA. Yeah, I don't know. What to figure out.
I mean, it's like if you don't bring back Torres, you're not going to be. You're not like if you're not bringing back Torres, you're not bringing back somebody also that's at his price point. I'm assuming it's probably Torres or bust in terms of that price point worthy of free agent. So that's a guess. Could be wrong, but that's the assumption.
You get Polanco.
Maybe you get Polanco, but at the same time. Like if you can't just go in with McGonigal as your only plan at second base. Like that's not really fair to him. It's not fair to the rest of the team, no matter what kind of prospect status he is. Remember, we don't know if he's ready yet. So any projection is an assumption with a capital ASS. So you just do like a Jace and a Max and a Lee and a McGonigal, and you just kind of like throw them all out there and say like, all right, we got a couple spots here, including starting second baseman. like the Shannon Sharp meme, hey, figure it out. Go, do your thing here. How confident in that process are you for a team, again, trying to win a World Series in the last year of a Skubal contract? I don't know. The more I talk about it, the only thing that's not messy is bringing back Gleyber. Right?
I think you're right. I think I've talked myself into it.
So we shall see. We shall see. So we're gonna go through 5 names of guys who may or may not be gone from this roster next year. The next one is the only guy. I guess it's fair to say the only guy that you got good return on at the trade deadline, and that's Kyle Finnegan, who was literally, I guess metaphorically still, but like lights out when you first got him. Then he gets hurt and he comes back and he's still good. He has a couple slip ups here and there, but he was still a reliable guy, back ending usage guy in the pen. He did have a 6.23 ERA in the division series, came into some tough situations, obviously, and everything, obviously the teams are better the deeper you go into the playoffs. He is going to be 34 next year. I don't know. I just feel like this spells thank you for your service, but we're probably going to move on to someone younger and cheaper. That's just my guess, but nothing anti-Finnegan. It's just my guess on what the Tigers.
I'd actually be all for bringing Finnegan back. He was a free agent last year and didn't have a very good market. He got a 1-year, $5.3 million deal. Traded to the Tigers. This guy was born in Detroit, has some ties. They helped him get a lot better with his pitch usage. He struck out 11.5 batters per 9 innings in the regular season. He is 34, but he didn't debut until age 28. Not that much mileage on his arm. It's worth noting he's been very healthy for the bulk of his career. The groin strain or adductor strain with the Tigers was almost like a blip on the radar, and they used him a lot. I don't think Finnegan is the one solution with your bullpen, but again, you look at other guys you can get in maybe that $5-6 million range, and is there anyone you're going to like more than Kyle Finnegan? Anyone you already have a little bit of a relationship with, you've already tapped into some of the hidden upside with? I'm not sure you're going to find a much better option, and your bullpen needs to get better. It needs to get better beyond just Kyle Finnegan. You need to have confidence he can continue to miss bats at the rate he did in his time with the Tigers, but I think, like Gleyber Torres, he kind of checks a lot of boxes still.
It is worth noting, I would be intrigued what an offseason of planning and instruction from the Tigers brass to Finnegan, what that could do for him in their system. So I will say that as well. And then we I don't necessarily know we have to spend a whole lot of time on this, but Tommy Kahnle, what a whirlwind of experiences we had with that guy this season, Cody. The quirky personality, the change up stuff, and then just not being able to talk about not missing bats at all. Ride the ship a little bit, but still was someone that I don't think you felt great about when he came in crucial situations down the stretch. So, but he's a free agent, so and also another guy that's 35 years old. So
yeah, I think Kahnle for sure is one they're going to be moving on from.
36.
What a strange time. A really good first half, a really bad second half. Ended up being on the mound. When your season ended. Yeah, they're going to move on from him, which begs the question, okay, how else are you improving this bullpen? A bullpen that was still bottom 2 or 3 in the league in terms of generating swing and miss. Tommy Kahnle's not your answer. There are going to be some guys who are free agents, including, I'm going to advocate for Ryan Helsley again. Had a terrible second half after getting traded to the Mets. Great news for the Tigers. The market value is going to go down a little bit. You're still probably going to have to pay for him. He throws 100. Pay for him a little bit. Fix him. Have a dude who throws 100 at the back of your bullpen to go with Vest, to go with Finnegan, to go with impending returns of maybe a Jason Foley or a Bo Brisky. You got to get serious about improving your pen and having some real power, velocity, and swing and miss. That's probably going to mean paying for a guy a little bit in free agency. Paying for someone whose market has gone down like a Helsley, not at all a bad idea, in my opinion.
All right, we are going to continue down this list of guys who may or may not be back. But first, a word from our sponsors.
This is for everyone listening right now. What are you wearing right now? And why isn't it MeUndies? Krat, it is time for everyone to upgrade and get that super soft micro modal glory. So good that you don't want to take it off.
The reason I'm stone facing you is because that's how soft they are. It's ridiculous. Like I don't even understand what kind of material it is. It's got to be something space age for your butt.
Signature, super soft, micro modal fabric, breathable, stretchy, unbelievably cozy. And now you can even get glow in the dark, part of the Halloween line. Right now, as a listener of FT, you can get cozy and spooky for less with deals up to 50% off at MeUndies.com/foul. Enter promo code FOUL. That's MeUndies.com/foul. Promo code FOUL for up to 50% off MeUndies. Comfort that's made for fall.
All right, coming back here. Honorable mention real quick, Cody. Akil Baddoo is going to be a free agent obviously as is his right. And I just wanted to say we were there the entire time with the Akil Baddoo experience. Was his first season was the year that we started doing this pod back when we had a different name that I won't say because I don't want you to go to that feed. Stay on this feed. And we were talking. The whole epitome of the Akil Baddoo experience was if you're thinking about like, oh, should I get a jersey? Should I get like a jersey shirt of Akil Baddoo? Do it because it's gonna be cool. He's not on the team anymore. It's gonna be cool. People are gonna see that as like, yeah, Akil Baddoo. I remember how fun that was. That was a moment in time, man. And I agree. And by the way, he had himself a nice moment here this season in that Toronto series. Won him a game. So yeah, just the Akil Baddoo experience. It looks like it's coming to a close. It was fun, but probably reached its natural conclusion. Good for him for having the major league staying power that he's sustained this year. Because again, Rule 5 pick and never played above high A. Really cool story. So I just want to make mention of that.
Yeah, what a weird story, man. Like you said, a good one, a fun one. Worth 2 WAR and a 112 OPS plus in his first major league season as a Rule 5 pick. Hadn't played above high A. Never reached those heights again. I'll be fascinated to see what kind of market there is for him. He has enough tools, lefty bat, some speed. I don't think he has an option, so that works against him. But you'd like to think there'll be a long list of teams interested in him on a minor league deal. Is there I don't know, someone like the Marlins or the White Sox, or it's someone random, even though the Marlins might be all right next year, someone just kind of random that would be like willing to take a chance on Akil Baddoo on a major league deal? I don't know. I wouldn't rule it out.
Yeah, gonna be pulling for him. That's for sure. So, all right, moving on to another guy that at one point in time was kind of a gem of a find from the front office, and that is Andy Ibáñez. Andy Ibáñez, Cody, I will remind everybody, because the age thing is real. Andy Ibáñez will be 33 basically on opening day next season. I think his birthday is like April 3rd or something like that. We know he got sent down. We know he did end up, coming up big in a couple spots down the stretch this past season. But overall, Cody, he was only a 714 OPS guy against left-handed pitching. And he's an above average defender, but he's not like a great defender. That's not really why you're having him on the team. It just feels like if you can figure out something to do with Jahmai Jones, you have some of these other guys that probably, we talk about Gleyber Torres kind of like blocking some young players. A guy like Andy Ibáñez is also somebody who could block some of your prospects. I'm thinking mainly of like a Max Anderson type who has also played all over the infield as a minor leaguer. He had Max Anderson did in the minors, mind you, but he had a 1.17 OPS against left-handed pitching. This kind of feels like an area where you get younger and you kind of figure it out. That's just a guess for me. What do you think about the possibility of Andy Ibáñez's time with the Tigers coming to an end?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It certainly seems like they've kind of outgrown him, and really he just hasn't performed well enough to merit a guaranteed spot. Even in the second half, 701 OPS. Really, this past 18 months of Andy Ibáñez has not been what you would hope for, but he's still under team control. His arbitration projection is $1.8 million. I think if he still had an option, the Tigers would bring him back in a heartbeat. My understanding is he is out of options. Assuming that's correct, would they pull one of those things where you sign him to a preemptive, $1.8 million deal or 2 million or something, and then if you have to option him, hope that you can get him through waivers? Maybe that's on the table. At the same time, like, are we still doing that? Are the Tigers still in this timeline as an organization where that is something that makes sense? You would kind of like to think they would outgrow it. Maybe if they sign or acquire somehow a couple better quality infielders, you don't really need him in that platoon role, because it does seem like Jahmai Jones is now going to be the preferred right-handed bat. He just doesn't have the defensive value of Andy, especially in the infield. I don't know that it's cut and dry, but it does seem like the case for Andy Ibáñez is not great at this point.
Yeah, and again, like it's sometimes it's a numbers game and a variety of factors. I think for him, it's a couple numbers game things where what's his real value?
You're gonna have to open
obviously
some 40-man spots as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, but again, if we're gonna be fair here, we had a similar-ish discussion about Zach McKinstry last season, and he went and had an all-star season. So maybe Andy Ibáñez is back and he becomes an all-star.
Andy at the all-star game next year.
All right. Lastly on our 5 list here, Jack Flaherty. The man who talks to himself on national television. He was one of your more reliable guys this year, in the starting rotation in terms of, taking the ball every 5th day. And he has the ability to opt out of this contract. He got $20 million next year if he does not exercise his option. So $20 million on the books. He's still young enough that he could get a multi-year deal, maybe. But we went through this last year. I don't know. This is a tough one. There doesn't appear to be any sort of lean. I'll be honest. We talk, just you and I. You say you don't have a lean, so like nobody else seems to indicate anything with what's going to happen with Jack Flaherty. But there's a couple ways where he could not be on the team next year, and you go with another option plus Olsen back and Joe back and figure it out from there.
Here's why this is weird. Jack Flaherty's due $20 million if he picks up his option. If he declines the option, he would be eligible for a $22 million qualifying offer. So it seemed to make sense. Decline the option, get the qualifying offer, take it. In that case, coming off a bad year, if you're the Tigers, are you actually going to extend him the qualifying offer? Or would you rather just move on, not pay him $22 million to have a ERA in the 4s? The downside of that is like looking at free agency, other guys you could get on a 1-year deal. Do you feel better about any of them than you do Jack Flaherty? Do they have more upside than Jack Flaherty? With the exception of one name, I'm going to whisper, Justin Verlander. I'm not sure you feel a lot better about any of these guys, and we'll see what happens with Skubal, but there's a world where you're really going to need multiple starting pitchers. There's some trendy names out there. Dylan Cease, who's going to get a big payday. Framber Valdez going to get a big payday. Some other interesting ones. Michael King, Zach Gallen. We can kind of keep going here. I don't know. I have a feeling Jack is going to be back one way or another. I'm just going to be fascinated what the actual mechanics of that will be given kind of the various scenarios at play.
I also do believe he'll be back. I do believe if he opts out or exercises option, I'm trying to get the terminology correct, like the qualifying offer would be in play and offered, because from the Tigers' perspective, you had to make it up on the fly, literally on the fly, for a second consecutive year on putting together a starting pitching rotation because of injuries and this, that, the other thing. I just feel like there's a known commodity aspect to this, and you don't let that asset walk out the door if you don't need to. You know, like everybody has the confidence in the world in Melton. We'll see what Job looks like after surgery. Olsen should, I believe, have a relatively full offseason of health and training and all that stuff. And then, you know, you got Mize in there as well. But I just don't think you're letting established veterans on a team. Again, a team trying to win a World Series here that, like, you know, walk out the door basically. So I do believe he'll be back, but you laid him out several mechanical aspects where he could not be back next year. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. There are some others who won't be back. The great Chris Paddock, the great Paul Sewald. Jake Rogers has been getting brought up. I hope they bring back Jake. You know, his arbitration projection is $2.9 million. So still not a lot. You're going to be paying. You could get a backup catcher of similar ability on a minor league deal, though. So how much is Jake's like clubhouse presence and all that worth? Still a really good defender. I tend to think they're going to bring him back. And then they have a lot of guys ARB eligible. You're not getting dudes for free anymore, but when you scroll down this list, Skubal, Mize, Rogers, Vest, McKinstry, Veerling, Foley, Lang, Ibáñez, Green, Torkelson, Carpenter, Brisky, Holton. I think almost all those guys are coming back. The one who's maybe the most questionable, Alex Lang, he's only projected to get $900K. Is that worth rolling the dice? I kind of think so.
I think so, yeah.
Foley, the extent of his injury would be more interesting to know because he's due $3.15 million. You better be confident he can pitch and pitch well next year. But this is a young team that's getting older, still cheap, controllable players, but really every year from now, these decisions are going to get harder and harder, and you're going to part with some of these guys. There's going to be turnover to more Harris regime players.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the price of winning. That's the price of having somebody like Skubal that gives you, A, the opportunity to win ball games, and then B, the pressure to win ball games. So, again, like I said earlier this week, like, in some of these cases, don't fall in love.
Mm-hmm.
Don't fall in love. Fall in like. And we'll see what happens. So yeah, this is actually a little bit of a challenging exercise because there's a lot of guys you just know they're going to bring back. And I want to circle back just real quick. We get questions about Dillon Dingler contract extension possibilities every now and then on socials. I'll just say my piece on that. Until Sky Harris shows me a different behavior, I just don't think he's going to do something that A, he doesn't have to do, and B isn't greatly beneficial for him, running this team. So, like, if Dingler wanted something similar to like a Colt Keith extension ish or whatever, maybe we'll do that. But like, he doesn't have to do it, and it's not going to be of great benefit to him. I imagine he's probably not going to do it. I'm not even critical. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he is an interesting candidate. If I'm Scott Harris, I would not rush into anything because he's a catcher, and you just never know. Is he really going to hit like he hit this year? You certainly hope so, but I don't know that that's any guarantee. And if I'm Dillon Dingler's agent, I'm saying, bro, we're not signing this because you're going to be a perennial all-star, and we're going to get you a huge payday in a few years' time. Well, I'd say that's pretty unlikely at this point.
Yep. So, likely going to be an off season without any extensions. That seems to be the indications. But
unless there's another pre-debut extension for somebody, which would again take an agent, like probably unlikely, but you never know.
You never know. All right, did we get this right, everybody? So we had Gleyber, Finnegan, Canley, Ibáñez, and Flaherty, and we talked them all out. It's unlike who's not going to be back. It's like what would happen, how could it happen type discussion. Did we get this right? Any other names that you feel strongly about? Hit us up on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Cody Stavenhagen. I'm at Kieran _Steckley. Pod page at Tiger Territory _TigerTerritoryShop.com for all your Tiger Territory merch. It's getting cold outside. The hoodies, quite comfortable. Can confirm. YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Instagram. You guys know what to do. We appreciate all of you. So for Cody Stavenhagen, I'm Kieran Steckley. Everybody have a great day.